black women. Y'all are just so damn tough all the time.
Nasty, derogatory, bitter, and
I've been waiting to talk about this one, child, because when are y'all, especially black men who think like this, going to realize that all these stereotypes you hate about black women have nothing to do with us specifically being black women and everything to do with just being black? Because you're entitled to your own beliefs, but you are not entitled to your own history. And if you're going to stand on these beliefs, you need to stand on the history that precludes them. And the history says that the stereotypes for white men and white women are very different, but they're so similar for black men and women. Why is that? Now stay with me here. Let's take a few of these stereotypes that you name and see if they actually only apply to black women. How about this idea that black women are aggressive, that we're difficult to deal with, and that we're angry? This was one of the first stereotypes that white enslavers used to even enslave black people, saying that we're actually closer to wild animals than we were to people. And enslaving us was not only their right as superior human beings, but it was actually a way to civilize us. And to this day, hyperaggression is a stereotype that racist cops will use against black men when they want an excuse to use lethal force. So no, not exclusive. How about this idea that black women are tough and we're bitter because of all this generational trauma that we carry? Did you know in the South, there was actual manuals put out that instructed white enslavers on how to crush rebellion because they warned that black people had pent up trauma about being enslaved? Even in the black liberation movement, the civil rights movement in the 60s, there was a bunch of writers who professed that this was just black people lashing out at white people because we had trauma that we needed to get out somehow. So no, not exclusive. Now this one's a little bit of a thinker. How about the one where black women are promiscuous and fast? See, this is difficult to clock with black men because men are encouraged to be hypersexual, but black men have been so hypersexualized that white women have been able to lie on them for generations, get them assaulted, incarcerated, killed, because everyone believed that a black man was a hypersexual wild animal who could not control himself. So if you've been keeping up, so far we're 0 for 3 because these stereotypes are mirror images of each other, which begets our original question: why are the stereotypes for black men and black women so similar? Well, once upon a time, at the beginning of the transatlantic slave trade, it was only African men who were being enslaved because the patriarchy of the time told us that women could not do labor. But as the demand for slave labor boomed, but the population of African men dwindled, the enslavers had a philosophical and economic dilemma on their hands. They knew they needed bodies, but they couldn't risk a gender evolution. So what did they do? Just like they professed black men were closer to animals than they were to people, they professed that black women were actually closer to men than they were to women. Not only denying black women our femininity, but hypermasculinizing us and transposing all the stereotypes about black men onto us. That's the anti-black history you gotta stand on.